Hi everyone. I hope you're doing well. Today is Martin Luther King Day. And I grew up in Houston, Texas, and that was a big deal for us. So we have a 2-hour late start tomorrow for the school district. I'm hoping that I can get an assignment, and I thought I would share with you what I talked about on my video the other day, the video I made yesterday, I think. I said my next video would be about my experience, my knowledge of knowing and seeing the end days of a narcissistic type of person. I have to wet my whistle because with all the talking I do, I start to get a dry throat. So I'm back from the gym. I upgraded to the black card membership, so I got in the red light collagen machine. I'll be younger in the morning. It's amazing, I'm telling you. Then I got on the Vibacore to really get my lymphatic system going so that when I go to exercise, I could sweat more. Now it does help if you put on coconut oil. Here's my candle. Okay. Welcome to my channel. My name is Sabrina. I'm a shamanic witch and a psychic healer. I am a wounded healer, and in fact, I'm here today talking about these things because it is what led me to my dark night of the soul, the death of my ego state, the child ego state, and it pushed me finally into more adult ego state, which is where I can nurture myself, I can calm myself, I can entertain myself, I can be with myself without really being so lonely all the time, okay? I can occupy myself. Now, after 30 years of dealing with these types of personalities, with my mother being an alcoholic, codependent with narcissistic traits, all about image. She was all about image and being the center of attention. This kind of rubbed off on me. Part of it also, oddly enough, had to do with things that were in my chart, so it fed that. And then I ended up meeting a man who liked the way I looked and wanted to acquire me, and I married him, and he turned out to be a narcissist, a codependent narcissist. I am not an expert, okay? But I've come to realize over the past couple of months that there are these terms that I can put on these behaviors that really help me get a handle on what was going on. About a year or so ago, I made a video stating I'm an ACA, what it means to be an ACA, being an ACA. An adult child of an alcoholic. I deleted it because at the time I didn't think it really had to do much with the channel, which of course is absolutely 100% wrong. I am here today because I went through my dark night of the soul, and then I was led to meet my spirit guide, and then I was led to step on the goddess-based path, the nature-based path, the earth-based path, and then work at an altar, honor the seasons. I work with the seasons, I work with a lot of things because I realized I had become a medium, okay? So there are some psychological techniques that I use at my altar to help motivate me, and I do call on spirit, so that makes me probably different from someone who's not a medium. All right. So I have one foot on the other side. Now, in watching videos that are on YouTube that are very informative, I've come to learn that my mother was not just an alcoholic because of her childhood trauma, which I know what it is. I've mentioned that. But she was also codependent. And I'm talking about codependent in an unhealthy way. She couldn't really be alone for many, many years. She wanted to be the center of attention. She didn't really want to do anything for herself. Now, she did take care of the household obligations, the family obligations. She kept a tidy house, and she looked after us and made sure that we had all of our needs met. But part of this was because it's a societal expectation, and they don't, that's the part of the image. They don't want to be shunned by society. And so it was important that we look nice and we dress nice and all that. There's nothing wrong with that. We all need checks and balances. We should take pride in our health and our appearance. But it was extreme. And there were some things that she did and planted ideas in my mind that were unhealthy. And it had to do with my body image and how I should, look in the world. And it sort of became like an obsession for a while. I kept expecting to be recognized because of my appearance. And I did get into modeling, and that was just a mess. Holly, weird, and, the modeling industry and everything. I didn't like it. So I turned my back on that, and I just decided to see what it was like to go out in the world and work and be an independent woman. And during those years, my mother was still very suffocating. She would say, "I'm her favorite, don't tell your sister." And I was just a captive audience, constantly calling me and inviting me out, paying for the breakfast, paying for the lunch. And so I went. But it got to be very tiresome. I had to not sit where I wanted to sit. Ever, never, ever sit where I wanted to sit. If I went to sit there, she wanted to sit there. If I went to sit there, she wanted to sit there. I never paid attention to what was going on, and she's like, I have to sit over here then with the sun in my eyes. And I was just a young girl, and I said, can't you call the server and ask them to close the curtain or close the blinds? I can't believe they want to make you sit here and suffer. And I told her one day, why do you always want to sit where I'm sitting? I'm not going to go out with you anymore. It's not worth the free meal. Chronic complaining, chronic gossiping, and it's all about trying to figure out why in God's name they're so insecure, why their self-esteem is so low. And it wasn't until years later I told her, Mom, your self-esteem is just so incredibly low. I mean, it is low. I mean, it is down to the floor. It is in the toilet is what I said. And now, I'll have to make another video on this, but there was a time when my father gave her a record with a guided meditation that had positive affirmations, and she actually listened to it. What's so hard about that? Chanting works by listening. It's not the chanting, it's the listening. So she put it on, she listened to it, and I don't know how many days she was listening, maybe 3 days, maybe 5 days. She gave it a chance. And one morning I was in the bathroom getting ready for her to take me to school. I was a senior in high school, and I said, She came into the bathroom and she said, "Are you about ready?" I said, "Mom, what have you been doing? You look different." "Really?" I said, "You look so calm." "Well, I've been listening to this record with guided meditation and positive affirmations." I said, "Well, it's working." She said, "I don't know what to do with this feeling. It's unfamiliar." And I said, "Keep doing it. It will become familiar." She quit. She felt like she was losing her power to be who she was, the shaky, insecure, frightened person, instead of really giving it a chance. So, like I've said in one of my previous videos, you don't hear it on the 6 o'clock news, guys, but it works, and I'm living proof. I stuck with it. All right. So fast forward, the time comes when my mother is 79 and she's in hospice, and I get the call. And I had been calling her almost every morning, "Mom, get up, walk around, Mom, get up." What happens is they start to, because I've never actually taken care of themselves, this is the thing, and I've mentioned this before, she never took care of herself. She made sure that we were taken care of, but she never took care of herself. She didn't brush her teeth regularly, she didn't shower regularly, she didn't bathe regularly, she didn't wash her hair regularly. She loved being waited on. And any chance she got, she'd go out to eat. She went to the beauty salon, the beauty school. Sometimes I joke that I grew up in the beauty school. Really. And she would go there once a week, and then she would get her hair washed there. And, you know, sometimes she wouldn't go for maybe 2 weeks, and she would just have them wash her hair. I think I'd even mentioned to her one time, Mom, your hair looks really dirty. Why don't you wash your hair?" "Oh, well, I'm going to get it washed when I go to the beauty salon." All right, so on one occasion, she confessed to me that she'd been intoxicated, and she took a razor and she dry shaved her legs, which were already kind of dry. And I asked her, "What are all the bumps and cuts on your leg?" And she told me that's what she did. So I think she was already going into kind of some DDTs, not a total blackout, but not really aware of what she was doing. All right. So one day my father said that he was disgusted with her and her drunkenness, and it was embarrassing. And she didn't like that. She's all about image. And once he made her aware of this is what she looked like when they were out, she quit. Now, she quit cold turkey. She never went to therapy to really understand why she started. Well, she didn't go to AA because she was in psychotherapy, all right? But she never was focusing on the subconscious mind to change the thought patterns. It expedites the psychotherapy process by probably 50%. I think that's what my hypnotherapy teacher said. So yes, I've gone on to study hypnotherapy. I've studied a lot, guys. I've studied a lot. And I did a lot of this inner work before I was ever led to practice magic. And I've come to realize I don't think people should really delve into magic if they haven't really done some inner work. Okay, back to these personality disorders, right? The codependent personality in particular. So I go to visit her, and she had been isolating. She was always complaining about the fact that my sister wouldn't call her, my sister wouldn't visit her, And I kept telling her, I'm the one who's calling you. I'm the one who's talking to you. Why are you acting like I don't know what? You know, I'm not, what am I? Am I some kind of a mannequin on the phone? Am I a robot? Be grateful for the one daughter who's been giving you more attention over the years. And you don't have to pay me to come and visit you. That's pretty sad when somebody is so insecure that they have to pay someone to come and visit them. But she did that too. It got to that point and I told her, don't bother. Don't bother. How pathetic is that? They're only coming because you're paying them? They're both working. No children. $100,000 a year income. Oh my God, give me a break. So, in a way, isolating herself and staying at home like a hermit really kind of helped her start to reflect on what was going on inside of her. One day when she was about 77 years old, she called me and told me that she had a dream about the stepfather who repeatedly raped her, and she told him off. I said, okay, all right. Good. I'm glad you felt you finally had the voice to tell him. But, and there is a place for justified anger. After that, you have to work on forgiving them. And that's not something that she understood, and that's not something that she worked to do. So she had managed to get caretakers to come into the home and help her several days a week, and she wasn't going out at all. So she was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. I cannot honestly say that this was a karma that my mother deserved. It's just a part of who they are. When they do not learn to become truly self-aware and grow out of this childhood ego state and get into the adult ego state and take care of themselves, find some love and some joy in taking care of themselves the same way she taught me and my sister to do. That is good karma for her. But yeah, she still never really wanted to cook anything for herself. She ate like a bird for many years. And she had this fear of becoming overweight. So she never did. She never took up exercise as a regular thing to do every other day or so, you know, to manage her weight so that she could eat properly and get the calories that she needed. She never drank enough water. We talked about water one day as I got older. And she had actually cross-addicted from alcohol to popping pills, every kind of pill she could possibly get. She would confess to me that she was taking diet pills from Walgreens so that she wasn't so hungry. She didn't want to have to work more and spend more money on groceries. Mind-blowing. How do I... What a mess. I understand that, but at the same time, you know, she never really wanted to work, okay? So she didn't work very much, and when she did, they were low-paying jobs because she dropped out of college. So she didn't have a college degree. She could only work easy office jobs for about 4 hours because of her nerves. And if it was easy, she could do it for more than that. And she liked that type of work when she could get it, you know, like temporary jobs that lasted for a month or two. But here she is now in her state from 77 to 79, getting sicker and sicker and sicker, having episodes where she's going unconscious, and the caretaker finds her and takes her to rehab, like a nursing home, and then they bring her back the next day. It's a very, very slow process where they don't understand how to really take care of themselves. When I asked her if she's been brushing her teeth, her answer was, when I feel they need brushing. They don't possess good judgment. She's never ever taken good care of herself and her body. I said, Mom, you have to brush your teeth every day. You're eating something every day. You're drinking something every day. She was in a lot of pain, and she had a way of getting pills from different doctors. Her side table was literally full of bottles of medicine, Librium and pain pills, and I don't know what else, some kind of uppers maybe. I said, my God, how'd you get access to so many bottles of prescriptions? Aren't you on some kind of a list? So, I tried to make light of it to point it out, but these were her last days, and it had been a long drawn out process where I think she probably should have passed away at least 5 years prior, but because she had reduced her caloric intake, was controlling, her demise, it was very slow and very prolonged and very agonizing. She was in a lot of pain. She was having waves and waves of pain. So eventually, when I went to see her, I took her out of the nursing home. They weren't taking care of her. And then I took her home and I took care of her, gave her a bird bath. I had to change her bandages. The hospice nurse wasn't coming. I was very angry. I don't want to talk about that. Changed her bed sheets, did her laundry, vacuumed the house. I had words with the housekeeper for not ever vacuuming or picking up some of the cat poop that was on the carpet in the front bedroom, or scooping the cat box. My mom would ask her to do a little tiny bit, like cook her a little tiny bit of food and then let her go home. I said, come on. This woman has to earn some of the money that she's getting paid for. She needs to vacuum, clean the cat box once in a while. You're bedridden, okay? The cat box is in the shower. You're not taking a shower. Who's giving you a bird bath? God only knows. So I ended up, those few days I was there, the hospice director had called again and said, your mom wants to go into the VA. She signed a living will. And so then the van came and took her there, and within 24 hours I had to turn right around and fly back because I was called to be told that she was passing for sure, like within an hour or two. And when we had gotten there, they asked, is there anything we can do, to help make you comfortable? She said, I need more pain meds. Can you give me I don't know what you call it, morphine? She said, oh no, we can't do that. We have to monitor what we give you, and you're too old and frail for us to be giving you morphine. So yes, addictive personality, not wanting to figure out different ways to deal with pain, physical pain, emotional pain. Okay, so yeah, it was a difficult thing for me to have to deal with in those last couple of years, and I knew she was giving up. My only consolation was to keep telling her that I I've seen what's on the other side for me. You don't really have to fear anything. You can come and be around me anytime, and she has more than once. She knows I'm talking about her. It's not my goal to talk ill about her. They are still learning when they're on the other side, and she is probably gaining new insights like I am, okay? It's helping her probably understand more about what she could have done better, maybe. So it's not about fault finding. It's about raising awareness. Let's move on to the man I married, who turned out to be a codependent narcissist. I also found out what his childhood issue was. He likes to flip-flop and deny it from time to time, or change the story when I bring it up. But he didn't have a father. So whatever the idea was that he formed in his head when he was a young boy that had been sent off to his relatives and they treated him like a slave, I don't know, but it really made him very selfish and miserly. And so there was just a variety of problems due to him being unable to be truly caring and courageous, and go get a second job part-time. He didn't want to. He didn't want to work. The only reason he was working was to gain all of the credits for Social Security so he could go back to his country and collect a check. And he had been hiding money. I've talked about this. So I was manipulated, I was lied to, I was insulted, I was shamed. There's things I haven't talked about. And then, of course, I was stolen from because he was hiding money somewhere in the van. So fast forward, I take him to the airport last year to finally fly back for the last time. And not only does he have money from his 401k from his job, he's got another $9,000. Excuse me, where the heck did that come from? And all the while it was, well, go get economic assistance. It's your country. Go to Goodwill. Go, all these places. And if I was going to be able to stop that, I had to put forth more effort and work more hours when I could, because I didn't have a partner. I had a selfish man who was living more like a bachelor. So these things like this, they do catch up with them. He is not financially well off. He's going to be able to live a decent life. However, karma is catching up with him. And I'm not saying this because I'm happy about it. But as I've been following a medium tarot reader who's talked about someone who's been sick because they're getting back karma, sick in their stomach, very sick, can't eat. I didn't hear from him for 2 weeks. Now, I made a promise to myself after the last time he contacted me to chew me out. He used the foot in the door technique. Can I ask you a question about our, past relationship? And he just started talking about things that were going on in my life after the divorce. But they don't let go. You belong to them. And so when that was all over, he did actually finally confess. He was always scared that when I left the house, other men were going to look at me and somebody might try to offer me something more than what I was getting from him. And I said, well then, be more loving, be more caring, be more generous, buy me something on Valentine's Day, buy me something on Christmas. But because I said it, and I asked for it, he was never going to do it. You can't raise their awareness, especially when they reach the age of 50. They're not interested in becoming self-aware and examining their childhood issues. So I was the one who went to counseling. And he's like, you know, finding fault with that. And then blaming the actions that I was doing and the feelings I was having on the counselor. She gave me permission. She gave me an assessment. She said, you're being manipulated. And she said, you know, you guys had an agreement that once you got pregnant, you wouldn't be giving him all your money, you know, and pooling it together and paying for 50% of everything, which is what I offered to do in the beginning. He reneged on that. I didn't know what to do until finally I met someone who said, you don't have to do that. It's not easy, okay? It's not easy. But we were already on economic assistance. He was hiding money. It's complicated, you know. Somehow I think I was providing my pay stubs. I don't know if he had to provide his or not, but anyway, we were never actually doing anything fraudulent. We were low income. So yeah, I mean, I guess he was stashing away $5 every 2 weeks, you know, after so many years. $20 a month or so. It adds up. He is getting the karma for that. He is getting the karma for that. So I reached out and I messaged him, and he said he's been very sick. Very sick. Past 2 weeks. Stomach, he said. Very sick. Can't eat. Turn up your volume. Sometimes my voice gets really low. And I thought, oh my gosh. How sad. Cheaters never prosper. Cheaters never win. And because he never took care of himself, you know, after I lost my gallbladder, then he was all about buying the vegetables and the fruits and everything, and we were juicing like crazy twice a day. Why? Why? Because he wanted to make sure the caregiver was strong. Get me back to where I was before. And I was already doing too much. I couldn't work 5 days a week, every single week out of the month. I was a mother. But yeah, that was why he seemed so caring and so involved. And once in a while, he'd have a glass of the carrot juice with apple or lemon, and we'd experiment with all these different types of recipes. You know, my son would drink a glass, and we really couldn't get him to get involved and get on board. I changed my diet. You know, more salad, no more dairy. Since I quit dairy, I haven't had the flu 13 years. Something to think about. Continuing to learn about nutrition and herbs and supplements. He refused. He refused. He never really flossed his teeth or brushed his teeth regularly, I think. And he would start to have a lot of mouth and teeth problems and starting to lose his teeth in his 50s. So now he had a habit of doing push-ups every morning, but at some point as you're getting older, guys, that's not enough. Sometimes he'd ride his bicycle to work. In the summer he would sweat, he would lose weight, but you know, it wasn't daily, it wasn't regular. He wasn't lifting dumbbells for a few minutes every day, or working out 20 minutes every day, or 30 minutes every other day. And he looked like Mr. Muscle Man because he'd been doing push-ups for so many years since he was a young man. It's not enough. His diet was very poor. He'd eat white bread and coffee with sugar. And I told him, look, I've learned about refined sugar and vitamin C and vitamin B and how it robs the body, and the white bread is no good. He would eat the wheat bread. We switched to a lot of wheat bread a lot of the times because I had to have that. I had to have this special diet. But his breakfast would still consist of white rolls and coffee with white sugar. I said, please at least switch to brown sugar. Eventually he did, but he's developed diabetes. Type 2 diabetes. He's overweight. No matter how many times I tell him, I wish you had listened. I wish you had changed your diet. I wish you would stop putting sugar in your coffee. You know, you've got to exercise more too. You'll get rid of it. Buy some weights. He said, I took my weights in my suitcase. Well, I guess they're decoration now. He's been staying with his family. And I think he's just stacking up the Social Security checks as they come in over there and spending time with his family. Another thing about these people is that when they are away from the ones that they were living with, that they were insisting, spend time with them, or call them, or talk to them, or think about them, they feel unplugged. And they start to lose their mojo. They start to lose their life force energy. They don't know how to get it for themselves. And this happened after I divorced him. Not my problem. He did all right for a while. But now that he's really far away, yeah. He's deteriorating. I think he said he's losing another tooth. And he calls it the normal process of deterioration. No. If you start taking care of yourself by the time you're at least 40 or 50 and you've had a couple of wake-up calls, with your body, whatever your situation is going to be, and you deal with it and you manage it every day. There's choices you have to make. My one vice is coffee. I haven't had an alcoholic drink in over 5 months. I'm not interested. If I had an occasion where somebody came over, I'd put a little bit of rum in a Coke. That's it. Your liver is very important. Alcohol is poison. So, he wasn't into that at all. But, this energy of everything he did during the marriage and the money he was hiding from us, it's just coming back to him. If he doesn't purchase land and get that house built within the next 6 to 9 months, he may not live to see it. And I'm not saying take heart in that those people will get their just desserts. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if this is the way they end up after they're 50. Because if they don't do something to become self-aware by the time they're 50, my counselor said the chances are pretty much zero of them trying to do anything to become self-aware or try to listen to any type of guided meditations to help them transform their thought patterns and go from the childhood ego state where they're stuck in their childhood issue, whatever it was, and move on and become a calm, peaceful, more happy in your skin with yourself individual who doesn't demand other people's attention. who kind of enjoys being alone sometimes. And for me, you know, after dealing with everything I had to deal with, being away from him was liberating for me, because I felt freer energy-wise until I became overwhelmed with the responsibilities of my house. So then I sold it. But this is very common if you watch videos on the end days of these types of people who are codependent. They don't take care of themselves. They're either narcissistic or they have narcissistic traits. Both my mother and my ex were misers. And when you have a poverty consciousness, it's just another low-level frequency that they are living at and occupying, instead of from the heart up, you know? When it comes to how you think about yourself and the way you feel about money, it is not a bad thing at all to be working on your prosperity at an altar in any way that you can, and learning how to speak to yourself and use positive affirmations to make sure that you are charging your body with positive energy, because there's always people that are going to be petty and gossipy and jealous. All right, I hope this has been helpful. I might make another video on this at a later date. But I would not be surprised. It's come to my mind, I just felt like, you know, I really don't know. I'd kind of be surprised if he lives more than 4 more years. We will see. As long as he's got family around him, you know, he's got that energy that he can draw on. He doesn't really want, I think, to be totally alone all the time. My mom did live alone for the last, 7 years or so, but she always had the TV on, and she was always calling somebody. So, take care. I hope this has been helpful. I'm hoping to be very, very busy, so I'll probably only make videos on the weekend, and I'm still working on my Patreon. Please be patient with me. There is where you're going to be able to learn names of behaviors, red flags, and also how to understand that the situation you're in, right? And begin to make steps to do what you need to do to no longer be the sponge that's being wringed out dry. Take care. Love yourself in a healthy way. Work on your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and remember, I have a book on that. I'll leave the link below. I've become an expert in dialectical behavioral therapy, how to talk to yourself and be a good witch. See you later.